and a sister of yours further down the precipice, and your whole family to the left. I thought last week you were funeral bouquets for me that never asked to be born or die, but now I guess I'm just talking through my empty head. I was smelling flowers in the yard, and when I stood up, I took a deep breath and the blood all rushed to my brain, and I woke up dead on my back in the grass. I had apparently fainted or died for about 60 seconds. My neighbor saw me, but he thought I had just suddenly thrown myself on the grass to enjoy the sun. During that timeless moment of unconsciousness, I saw the golden eternity. I saw heaven. In it, nothing had ever happened. The events of 1,000,000 years ago were just as phantom and ungraspable as the events of now, or of 1,000,000 years from now, or even the events of the next 10 minutes. It was perfect. The golden solitude, the golden emptiness, something or other, something surely humble. There was a rapturous ring of silent abiding perfectly. There was no question of being alive or not being alive, of likes and dislikes, of near or far, no question of giving or gratitude, no question of mercy or judgment, or of suffering or its opposite or anything. It was the womb itself, aloneness. Alaya Vijnana, the universal store, the great free treasure, the great victory, infinite completion, the joyful mystery essence of arrangement. It seemed like one smiling smile, one adoring adoration, one gracious and adorable charity, everlasting, safety, refreshing afternoon, roses, infinite, brilliant, immaterial golden ash, the golden age. The golden came from the sun in my eyelids, the eternity from my sudden instant realization as I woke up that I had been there, right where I came from and where it was all returning, the everlasting so. And so never coming or going. Therefore, I call it the golden eternity, but you can call it anything you want. As I regained consciousness, I felt so sorry I had a body and a mind, suddenly realizing I didn't even have a body and a mind, and nothing had ever happened, and everything is all right forever and forever and forever. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Next up is Arnie.
Well, do I need to be up here? Or?
You don't.
I feel so on top of the mountain. Yeah, well, I did that once.
Indeed.
And maybe I'll do it again. So maybe I'll stand here. I wish that I had spent a couple hours today going through the material and getting well prepared. But there's all these should-dos, and they all are demanding my attention, and I'm laying the law down. A few of you are going to get procrastinated. Well, I admire some of the poets I've seen lately who do things from memory. And I think I can do this from memory. I used to do that more often than I do now. Sometimes I hate it when I get out there confidently and say something off the top of my head and then lose it. So I don't like that feeling. But I'm going to I'm going to risk it now. And if you're following the text, I'll probably miss something.
All right.
But hopefully you won't be able to tell. Friday afternoon in the universe in all directions in and out, you got your men, women, dogs, horses, ticks, spurts, parts, pans, pools, pails, pretenses, and petty thieveries that turn into heavenly Buddha. I know, boy, what I'm talking about because I made the world, and when I made it, I know lie and had old angel midnight for my name. So therefore, ever after, make believe it's real, but it'll be. But that's all right because it's going to be all right, and we'll soothe the forever boys and girls. And before we're through, we'll find a name for this golden, god darn it, eternity and tell a story too, right?
It's
Yeah,
super close.
yeah. So like I say, I wish I went through all the scripts, the 50th year and all that. And I'm retired now. You think I'd have time for all that kind of stuff. And I don't. I think I'm more busy than when I was working. So this was a piece I picked out when we did it, the original. And the reason I picked it out was I grew up very solitary, out just being a boy out in Berkeley, Ohio, and not having a whole lot of people to play with. And so I know what solitariness is, and I was into music, and I would sing out loud, and I you know, it sounded like me, only he was up in the mountain, you know, and I'm in the flatland. So here we go. Without practice, but perhaps the spirit will come back. No man should go through life without once experiencing healthy, even bored, solitude in the wilderness, finding himself depending solely on himself and thereby learning his true hidden strength, learning, for instance, to eat when he's hungry and sleep when he's sleepy. Around bedtime was my singing time. I paced up and down the well-worn path in this dust of my rock, singing all the show tunes I could remember at the top of my voice too, with nobody to hear except the deer and the bear. In the red dust, the mountains were symphonies in pink snow. Jack Mountain, Three Foods Peaks, Freeze Out Peak, Golden Horn, Mount Terror, Mount Fury, Mount Despair, Crooked Thumb Peak, Mount Challenger, and the incomparable Mount Baker, bigger than the world in the distance, and my own little jackass ridge that completed the ridge of desolation, pink snow and the clouds all distant and furry like ancient remote cities of Buddha land splendor, and the wind working incessantly, whoosh, whoosh, booming at times rattling my shack. For supper, I made chop suey and baked some biscuits and put the leftovers in a pan for deer that came in the moonlit night and nibbled like big strange cows of peace, long antlered bucks and does and babies too, as I meditated in the alpine grass facing the magic moon lane lake, and I could see furs reflected in the moonlit lake 5,000 feet below, upside down pointing into infinity, and all the insects ceased in honor of the moon. 63 sunsets I saw revolved on that perpendicular hill, and raging sunsets pouring in sea foams of clouds through unimaginable crags like the crags you grayly drew in pencil as a child, with every rose tint of hope beyond, making you feel just like them, brilliant and bleak beyond words. Cold mornings with clouds billowing out of lightning gorge like smoke from a giant fire. But the lake, cerulean as ever, August comes in with a blast that shakes your house and augurs little Augusticities. Then the snowy air and the wood smoke feeling. Then the snow comes sweeping your way from Canada, and the wind rises and dark low clouds rush up as out of a forge. Suddenly, a green rose rainbow appears right on your ridge, with steamy clouds all around, and an orange sun turmoiling. I turmoiled that one. What is a rainbow, Lord? A hoop for the lowly, and you go out and suddenly your shadow is ringed by the rainbow as you walk on the hilltop. A lovely haloed mystery making you want to pray. A blade of grass jiggling in the winds of infinity, anchored to a rock for your own poor gentle flesh. No answer, your oil lamp burning in infinity. If you don't want to get up, I can say Leonard.
Well, I'm gonna read one little quick thing before Leonard.
Okay.
But thank you so much, Arnie. And Arnie was in the cast when I first saw the Back to Jack, and this was something that kind of really meant a lot to me. And it's great that you just read this one, which is a piece that I love, No Man, or we call it No Man, and our little script pieces out of that. This is a letter that Jack Kerouac wrote to Gary Snyder, and he wrote it about just that. I mean, about climbing these mountains, and climbing mountains with Gary Snyder. But then he wrote the book Dharma Bums, based on, well, it's in the letter. I'll just read the letter, but. This is one of those moments where you see within his letters that he's writing to family and friends the stuff that he's lived and the stuff he wrote about. Letter to Gary Snyder, April 3rd, 1957, from Tangier. Dear Gary, I just got back from a long ramble, 10 miles in all, up the beach, swim, and then inland into the mountain country where I climbed a minor near one and came upon quiet shepherd slopes. Honk of asses and maa of sheep, rejoicing in vales and silly happy trills of crazy birds goofing in the solitude of rocks and brush swept by sun heat, swept by sea wind, warm ululations shimmering. Quiet brush and twig huts, looking like Upper Nepal, fierce-looking Arab shepherds and herdsmen, dark, bearded, robed, bare-kneed. Distant African mountain peaks to the south, quiet powder blue village below, crickets, sea roar, peaceful mountain Berber village or farm settlement. And oh, last night, Gary, under the midnight stars, among the rooftops of Morocco, the flute of Ramadan, lovely and sad and sweet, I suddenly heard, accompanied by knighted drums. Now I'll never be able to tell what I hear out this window, the beat of the wind or of the sea, or of the drums of Ramadan, the annual fast. I was lying in bed, contemplating the next novel, The Dharma Bums, which is mostly about you, my freight hop to Frisco in '55, and meeting you, and the Gallery 6 poetry reading, and our climb of Matterhorn with John Montgomery. Do you remember that little slip of paper about mercy I gave you for Japan? Last night, I thought I should have written instead, forgive, for when it shall be known to you the symbol of awakenerhood, there will be no meanness. Kowtow known as Buto, pow pow pow. Jack. Leonard Chris.
Well, this is perfect because this is a passage that relates to that from the Dawn of Columbus. And in this passage, it's at the beginning of the book, and he's on a freight train traveling up to find Snyder in Northern California. And at the moment, he's sharing the boxcar with a man he describes as a little old bum from Ohio. He ate the cheese and bread and drank the wine with gusto and gratitude. I was pleased. I reminded myself of the line in the Diamond Sutra that says, practice charity without holding in mind any conception about charity. For charity, after all, is just a word. I was very devout in those days and was practicing my religious devotions almost to perfection. Since then, I've become a little hypocritical about my lip service and a little tired and cynical because now I'm grown so old and neutral. But then I really believed in the reality of charity and kindness and humility and zeal and neutral tranquility and wisdom and ecstasy, and I believed that I was an old-time bhikkhu in modern clothes wandering the world, usually the immense triangular area of New York to Mexico City to San Francisco, in order to turn the wheel of true meaning or dharma and gain merit for myself as a future Buddha, awakener, and as a future hero in paradise. I had not yet met Jaffe Ryder, Gary Snyder yet. I was about to the next week or heard anything about Dharma bums, although at this time I was a perfect Dharma bum myself and considered myself a religious wanderer. The little bum in the gondola solidified all my beliefs by warming up to some wine and talking and finally whipping out a tiny slip of paper which contained a prayer by Saint Teresa announcing that after her death she will return to earth by showering it with roses from heaven forever for all living creatures.
Bob Phillips.
Can't read Kerouac or about Kerouac without beer and wine.
The best beer too.
Oh, it is nice.
Ah, yes. We got the light.
One of my favorite. First of all, I first discovered Kerouac in around 1957 when I was 11 or 12 years old. And I went to the library and started reading books by Kerouac and Beat Generation. I fell in love with Kerouac. I just totally identified with him and what he was talking about. I felt like I had experienced in my young life already. I grew up on red brick streets in Toledo. Of course, he did too, and all the red brick buildings in Lowell and so on, and just his, I just felt an empathy with him. Anyway, and I've kind of been a beatnik ever since. This is just one of his sayings, which I always kind of like. I have nothing to offer anyone but my own confusion. And I ran across a thing on the internet. And it was from an article, and I forget the poet's name who wrote the article. But he's quoting from he says, there's a wonderful interview with the poet Philip Whalen, who knew Kerouac very well and watched him writing at one point and described it. Describes Kerouac writing, actually sitting down and writing. He would sit at a typewriter and he had all these pocket notebooks, and the pocket notebooks would be open on his left-hand side on the typing table, and he'd be typing. He could type faster than any human being you ever saw. The most noise that you heard while he was typing was the cartridge return slamming back again and again. The little bell would bing bang, bing bang, bing bang. Just incredibly fast, faster than teletype. And he'd laugh and say, look at this. And he'd type and he'd laugh. Then he'd make a mistake, and this would lead him off into a possible part of a new paragraph, into a funny riff on some kind that he'd add while he was in the process of copying. Then maybe he'd turn to a page of the notebook and he'd look at that page and realize it was no good, and he'd exit out, or maybe part of that page. And then he'd type a little bit and turn another page and type the whole thing. And another page, and he'd type from that. And then something would, again, he would exclaim and laugh and carry on and have a big time doing it. Anyway. And this is the one Kerouac piece I'm going to read. It's from Old Angel Midnight. Well, it's also on that record album that Kerouac and Steve Allen did, which I thought was wonderful. And it's just from Old Angel Midnight, but on the record album it's called The Sound of the Universe Coming in My Window. The Mill Valley trees, the pines with green mint, look. And there's a tangled eucalyptus hulk, stick fallen through the late sunlight, tangle of those needles hanging from it like a live wire connecting it to the ground. Just below the notches where little Fred sought to fell the sad pine, not bleeding much, just a lot of crystal sap. The ants are mining, motionless like cows on the grass. And so they must be aphids, percolating up a steam to store provender in their bottomless bellies that, for all I know, are bigger than the bellies of the universe beyond. The little tragic windy cottages on the high last cityward hill, and today roosting in sun-hot dream above the tree head of seas and meadow patch, whilst tee-kee-kee purl the birdies and mammons and